Hero. Clothes exposed both of a woman's breasts and also her genitals. The trouble was, said Seneca, our women have nothing left to reveal to their lovers in the bedroom that they have not already shown them on the street. So not long after that, they started putting various items of clothing over the necessary areas. Now, speaking of that, most people have heard of a cod piece. A lump of, fashion furniture, really, that was placed over the penis, almost like an erect penis, but made of cloth. Now, this was an essential accessory for the Renaissance man. It was designed to fit around the male penis like the finger of a glove, and it was worn all over Europe in the 15th century. Now, one of the critics of the day, Michel de Montaigne, said, what is the purpose of that monstrosity that we to this day have fixed to our trousers, and often, which is worse, is far beyond its natural size through falseness and imposture? Probably it was thought to facilitate the armoured knight's call to nature, because when you've got armour on, you wee yourself, and nobody tells you that when you get into the armour. But yeah, you've got a whittle inside, which is bound to make it a bit rusty. And your armour. Here's another thing. You know, when you watch Elizabethan stories, you see a huge collar around everybody. Well, do you know that there was a purpose for this unruly ruffle-like thing? And it was called a flea cravat. For about 200 years, from the 14th century onwards, English ladies wore special fur collars around their neck underneath the ruffly bit. And the accessory was designed to attract fleas, taking them away from the rest of the woman's clothes and the woman's furry bits. Oh, here's the thing I've never understood either, and you've probably seen this 1,000 times. It's the people who shave off their eyebrows and then draw them in the wrong place. Now, I've never understood this. It still goes on. But do you know false eyebrows? In the 18th century, from about 1750 to about 1790, false eyebrows were the thing, not just for women, but for men and women. They shaved their own off and they stuck a couple of false ones on. And do you know what they made them out of? Mouse skin. Lovely. And they stuck it on with glue made of dead fish. So it stunk and looked ridiculous. One of the worst and nastiest fashions comes from China. And back in the day, they used to bind women's feet. And it goes back to the 1200s, and a woman called Empress Taki. She was born with a club foot, but she was an empress. So her courtiers thought, as deference to her and out of respect, they would bind their own feet in cloth to look like her feet. Now, it didn't take very long before these tightly bound feet became completely deformed. And then, for hundreds of years, deformed feet was desirable by women who literally folded their toes underneath their feet. The pain must have been unthinkable. Their husbands used to encourage foot binding as well, not because they thought it looked good or sexy or anything, because it didn't, it was rotten, but because a crippled wife is less likely to run away. They say it's a man's world. It really was, but it surely isn't now, thank heavens. Here's another thing that you would think men wouldn't need. Or would you? An erection restrainer. Yeah. Queen Victoria's consort, Prince Albert, gave his name to a form of body piercing. He says, I've got a Prince Albert. You've heard people use the expression. And it became fashionable amongst gentlemen in Victorian times. It was essentially a lump of metal stuck in your penis, horrifically, but the erection could be restrained by a row of small hoops attached to the ring. Oh, well, just why would you?
Alan Robson's Night Owls.
The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
So, great start. Thank you very much for all of your responses, including Will in Durham, who says, I used to love playing with my cap gun and cap bomb. The caps came on a roll and used to flash fire and bang and used to smell of sulphur powder. But then health and safety officials said it was no longer safe for kids. Don't figure. Will in Durham. I remember them. You used to put the caps into, like, toy guns, and when they fired, they would, like, come up like an old ticket machine. And the cap bombs were great because you would rip off a single one of these things and you'd put it inside something that looked a bit like a bomb, and then you'd throw it up. It would fall to the ground. It was weighted at the front when it landed. Great fun, great fun. We had years of pleasure with them in my sheriff's outfit. Oh, yeah. No simple cowboy for me. Betty Thomas says, happy birthday to Ronald Redstripe. Rachel Lansbury says, the thing that she remembers from back in the days, hand-me-downs. And everybody used to do this. If you had an elder brother or sister, when they got past wearing certain clothes, they would pass them down to the next person in the family, which was pretty good for most people, not so good for me, because my sister was a nun. Also, Derek Domino says he remembers power slamming his friends. Nice guy. We used to play pylon. I don't know whether it's the same thing. Just, we used to be walking along and then we'd see a pylon and you'd point and you'd go, oh, pylon. Then you'd jump on somebody, then everybody else would jump on top of them as well. And Derek says there were clackers all hour, and they were, absolutely. Clifford Almanthorpe wants a shout-out for his pal Fast Fret Phil Morris of Blythe. He used to play a mean guitar in their skiffle group called The Fountains. Brilliant. The girls thought he was the Dog's Danglers, and he says, rock on. I always will, thank you. Dorothy Bloodaxe, I had a bottle of Buckfast signed by Donny Osmond. How random is that? And she loves me. Bless you. Thank you very much. I send love back. And Ross Teasdale, I figure Ross is actually waiting for me on the line right now, so we'll talk to the man himself. Hi, Ross.
Oh, hiya. Going live, yeah.
I hope so. Hi, mate. How you doing?
All right, aye.
I gather you were the shining example of the shell suit.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, brought back memories.
So what was it when they first came out? And I know everybody had one. I had one. Everybody seemed to. It was overnight, and I don't even know how it started, but suddenly everybody had to have one.
Aye. Weirdly, I remember the night well. It was a Friday. We went to Asda, big Asda. My mum took us,
right.
And I think it was about £20 for the full the tracksuit pants and jacket. And I thought it was the bee's knees.
What was it? Describe the colour of this, because you mentioned in your email that text that it was luminous.
Yeah, it was luminous green, blue, purple, and yellow. All like mixture, like arms and patches, and I thought I was the bee's knees. I was like, right, look at this. I wore it all the time, but looking back, there's a photo emerges as ever on Facebook,
right,
from a friend from back in the day. And I'm sitting on his sofa, wearing this monstrosity. Thinking I was like top fella, and then
top banana. Everybody did though. Everybody did when they had their shell suits on, and some of them were horrific. Some girls went for I'm going to buy one for somebody who's like 3 sizes too small so that I can look kind of sexy with it. But you couldn't look sexy in a shell suit anyway, because when you walked, you did that wherever you went. It was weird.
But you had the curtains hair, the part in the middle. I've still got it now, loads of memories. What was it? Naff Naff jackets.
Oh, blamey, yeah.
Geordie jeans.
Geordie jeans were great.
What
did you wear on your feet at the time then with a trackie?
Ooh.
Was it because it was kind of, trainers weren't the big deal back then. Not so much anyway.
I had those pumps, Reebok pumps.
All right.
Remember them?
Yeah.
Where you pump them up and then let it go, and we thought we're naughty in assembly when you made the noise, and it was like a Aye. Well, the teacher would look round and stuff, but we had all the gadgets, but it was good. Bulldogs, British Bulldogs in the playground.
Yeah, all of these things have been stopped. I mean, a lot of sports days were stopped. You know, people couldn't tackle people playing rugby and stuff. It's like madness, the health and safety crap that people have put up with.
But we got banned from playing the Bulldogs game.
Yeah, we did too.
We thought we're naughty when we got away with it, but so many good times. But shell suits. But I just want to mention about it's not quite the same subject, but a bit serious for a minute
Okay,
about
sure.
yesterday's shenanigans with the pubs.
What did you do? Did you go out and check it out, or what?
Nah, no chance. Stopped in, had an enjoyable evening watching a live stream of a gig on Facebook. Cans at the fridge, no queue in there, straight in and out.
Yeah.
But I've seen there was loads of bother in where we live and also around in North Shields, Fishkey,
Right.
Cramerton, Blythe, obviously where we are from.
Yeah.
Apparently it was just ridiculous. There's videos emerging and it was just young, shall we say, characters who have obviously went out too early, they've peaked too early, they've started fighting with each other, rolling around the streets, and it's embarrassing. And, absolutely ridiculous. All this month, will be April, March, April, on lockdown.
Yeah.
First day this goes on, it's absolutely ridiculous. 20, 30 of them brawling in the streets and stuff, and it's like, oh, God.
It's not worth.
So,
it's not worth the bother. The awful thing is, we've all wanted pubs to open so you can pop in for a nice pub lunch and a cold one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, why do we always have to take it like just far too far?
I know. Well, it was built up as if it was like New Year's Day mixed in with as if England are playing or something.
Yeah.
It was like, it was just terrible. But I had a good night anyway. Stopped in, and because there's no entertainment on in the pubs. You can't have music or sport, or apparently you're not meant to stand up. So, I mean, how's that enjoyable? You're not allowed to go close to other people that you're not sitting with.
Well, this is why hell's going on outside, because everything you can't do in a pub, people are doing outside.
But I thought I'm not sure if it was a dream. I'm sure it was real. About 11 o'clock, I had a few cans of Birra Moretti and all that and Stella. But Horse and Trap went past last night, where we live, down near the beach. I thought, what's going on here with a few lads hanging on the back? But God knows, blue lights everywhere, and it's crazy. But people have obviously just let loose and gone let off steam and all that. But
well, I saw the front page of the Chronicle, the Evening Chronicle, the Tyneside newspaper for those what they've not now, and it said, "Just behave yourself, just take it easy." And I'm thinking, this is the Northeast. We're not. I'm not even sure we know how to take it easy. We always go just stupid over stuff like this.
Oh, I know. But we always went out only when there was live music on, bands and stuff. So God knows when that'll be. I mean, Christmas or later.
I just hope I would love us to think that we could get to some point of normality sooner rather than later. But who knows? I mean, the way the government have dealt with it, they've taught us how to behave to a degree, and then it comes to something like this, where they should have said, if you cause any trouble on this particular night, you will get a automatic fine of boom, $1,000 or something. If they'd have said that beforehand, people might have thought twice before acting crazy the way that they have. But he didn't. He just said, have a nice time, try and behave. Well, what are you going to do when somebody says that? It's like a license for mayhem, isn't it?
But you're meant to leave your name and stuff and details at the bar. Well, the ones causing trouble, who knew they were going to cause trouble, would have been, Mickey Mouse, Jimi Hendrix, whatever.
Bill Clinton. I've done all of those. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, however, but so I thought I was slightly embarrassed about the town where we live about that, because it was, I think it was in the Chronicle about it. But
yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. But
At least you were safe though, Ross. Good man. Which gig did you watch?
It was actually a Noel Gallagher impersonator from Scotland who was actually really good. Actually,
right?
They're called Noel Gallagher's Flying Comets. So but he puts a thing. He raises money for charity. So if you request a song, you put like whatever few quid in, and he plays it, and then you know what I mean. The money goes to the charity. So,
brilliant. Nice stuff.
Good crack.
Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on, Ross.
Nope. Cheers. See you.
All the best,
Bye.
man. Bye-bye. Now, Ross is loyal, steadfast and true. Been with us a while. Glad to hear from him. What else are we going to talk about tonight? Were you out? Were you in the middle of that mayhem? What did you see? You're the spectator. You're the people that see you're the million eyes out there. You always have been on the Night Owls programme. What did you see? Who did what? Did it happen in your town, your village? Were you in one of the big cities? What happened there? Tell us. We'll see the press, and you can, to see a snapshot, you think, surely it can't have been that bad. Was it? Tell me. 0191 488 3188. Up to, and not too far from Blythe, we're off to Washington. We got Gav there. Hi, Gav.
Hello, matey. How are you doing?
Good, man. What you got for me?
Right. I'm a wild camper. Respect my wild camper. Leave
Right.
no trace.
Yeah.
I've been out, obviously, once the lockdown started, easing down and things like that,
Okay.
So I was up just around the corner, really, up in Keilor.
Right. Brilliant.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
So I'm having a little wild camp, sitting there by myself.
Right.
Because, I like to get out now and again, get rid of the kids and the missus and
Sure.
just relax. And as I'm sitting there, just out the corner of my eye, I catch something going by. I went, what the hell's that?
Mhm.
When your mind starts playing tricks on you.
Sure.
And I'm convinced that it was some sort of, I don't know if ghost is the right word to use, or
Something.
It's-
Something. Unidentified something.
it certainly wasn't anything like, you see in the movies, like white and floating. It was just like, just out of the corner of my eye, just a little black shadow sort of thing. I went, oh, Kirk.
Yeah, especially I'm in the middle of the woods. This is typical American movie stuff, isn't it? I think I was going to walk in the woods where all those people were massacred in 1974.
Well, you see, I didn't realise, naive, I know it's going to sound stupid, but, there's that much history in Keilor I thought was all man-made, but it's not. It's just a bloody lake, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's man-made, and obviously there's been loads. I've looked into it since. Lots of crusades and things, and
Okay.
the story about the Keilor Castle and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, right. I said, this is my plan. A couple of years back, I don't know if you can remember, but I actually joined you up at Chillingham. You finally got us up there after years of
I remember.
convincing. I don't know how I managed to get down that bloody driveway, but we got
Because
there. in
I
the end.
remember, because you and I said that the one thing that you had to, because whenever you got anywhere near the place,
That was right.
you got the chills, and you literally couldn't.
No,
and
well,
I remember just that first moment, getting you onto the first steps of the drive, and it was like, I'm going to have to get half a dozen people to just drag him. But
if I remember rightly, I think I got a little bit emotional, but
that's an understatement, yes.
did I?
And a little bit of the language was a little bit
I apologise
raw,
about
but
I
that
think
was
I'm-
all right. We managed to get there between it. Now, it was a great thing, because facing your fears, I think, is one of the best things you can do. And afterwards, you do get a real adrenaline boost on the back of it.
Yeah, it was. It was a strange experience, but an excellent one at the same time. Do you know what I mean? I really did enjoy it.
Good.
And that's what I thought, obviously, when after this commotion up the Keilor, I thought, you know what it is? So I'm going to get on Alan, because he knows all about this. Carry on.
But you see, the black things that you see, and to explain to somebody that hasn't seen them, they'll say, because people come to me all the time and they'll say things like, I'm 43 years of age and I've never seen a ghost. And you always say, well, have you looked? And they go, well, no. Well, that's probably why.
Well,
But those black things, and out the corner of your eye, absolutely, because they're easier to see from the cones, that's the side parts of your eye, rather than full on. And sometimes if you see something there and your head will switch over, they're gone. There's nothing there. But if you keep them in the periphery, you can actually follow them and see where they go. And they're the very first things that I ever saw. And like everybody else, you think, it's a shadow. I'm imagining it. The car must have gone by, or somebody
but in
with
the
a torch, or all that kind of thing.
Middle of Keilor, I'm the only one there for like about 10 acres.
Absolutely.
But as I say, I was just sitting. I've got my little buddy burner. I don't know if you know what they are.
Yeah.
Just little buddy burner.
Uh-huh.
What the bloody hell is that? And to be honest with you, I flashed my torch. Obviously, I had it beside us.
Sure.
Pitch black. It's like, 2:30 3 o'clock in the morning by this time.
Yeah.
Like, nice hot drink, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I didn't drink. I haven't drank for, 7 years, 8 years.
Well done.
But and I just caught the corner. I said, right. I said, that had to be something like that. And obviously, looking into it, I found out that Keilor Castle itself is apparently got a lot of activity.
Absolutely. We've been down there a couple of times, and a fellow taxi driver like yourself, Tony the taxi driver, who sometimes contacts the show, took him down there, and he had all kinds of experiences. We've caught them. You can listen to them. We got a couple of those recorded as well. So
Robson's World,
robsonsworld.com. You head off there. There's two Keilor things there for you to have a check out. But the weird thing was that people go to Keilor Castle and they know it's in the middle of they call it the blackest part of Britain, the darkest.
Oh, it's beautiful. The skies are what you see on a clear night. Oh, sensational.
They've got an observatory a little bit further along the road from the castle as well. But the thing about those black things, and the way that I try and explain it, and it kind of makes sense to those that have seen it, but for people who haven't seen it, they kind of look at you puzzled. It's a blackness that moves in the dark, but it's not normal.
It's like a darker part. That sounds ridiculous. It's like
a darker darkness. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought, you know what it is. As I say, I often go, we'll go away with family because the kids love it.
Sure.
But I like to get away by myself as well.
Right.
You know, I've just taken on the old little stealth camping and spoil camping, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go back up, and that was the whole point. I put a message on. Mm-hmm. If you're up for it, a night in the woods, not Brokeback Mountain style, mind, but you bring your recording stuff.
Yeah.
We might be to pick something up. I'll take you back to where I was.
Right.
And we'll see if we can. Because you
sounds like a plan. I mean, as I say, I've been up to that part of the world, and you don't realise what darkness is because we're so close to towns and cities.
Yeah.
You know, in the bricks. That you look up to the sky and you say, not many stars out tonight. Yet if you were like in the middle of Keilor, there's about 40 million of them up there.
Well, that's it. I mean, the thing is, it's crazy. It is. I mean, I'm pretty nearly 40, but it's not a scary darkness. It's a calming. It's peaceful, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
See, you've got the stars, especially on a clear night, and you can hear everything. There's not only the creaking of the wood, the trees, and the birds, and it's beautiful. I recommend it to anybody if you want to de-stress or. Yeah,
for sure.
Do you know? But I thought myself, next time I go up, I said I'm going to get on the phone, Alan, see if you ever fancies a little trip up to Keilor.
It certainly is an idea because we've been there before. I think we'd have to have a bigger hook than that, if you know what I mean. But those kind of things. You got to remember, this is some of the most blood-soaked countryside in all of Britain, this part of the world.
I was rather naive when it come to that part. I do like the history, to be fair.
Right.
But mine was like mainly castles, like the Percy family from Warkworth and Distance. But I didn't realise the depth of Keilor Castle. I didn't realise it was like a stronghold, and there was this here, and people were held there against the will and sent out and would sort of like play games, like run. If you can get away, we'll let you live.
Absolutely. There's a couple of stories of human boilings, where they put people in large vats and just boil the skin off them. Happy days.
Was that the Scottish or was that English? Or?
Oh, that's us to our own. Absolutely. If you didn't do what the wealthy people told you, they would toy with you one way or another. But it's just a fascinating place, and I think there's a lot more you maybe learn about it as well. Hey, but good catching up, Gav.
Nice to speak to you.
Respect to you, man. Thanks very much for coming on.
All the best, mate. What
and
you doing?
You, bye-bye. Oh, nice guy. I remember him literally quaking before he went in down the driveway at Chillingham. And it was kind of because he didn't particularly believe, but whenever he took anybody anywhere near to Chillingham, he got the collywobbles and he didn't know why. And thinking of it, maybe in a previous existence, his energy had maybe been there before and had suffered at their hands. And there was, we found out some amazing things about it. Anyway, let's move on. We have Gavin. And he's up that big hill in Wickham. Hi, Gavin.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm all right. Were you out in the middle of that furore last night then, were you?
I wasn't, no. I prefer now to just stay at home, have a couple of cans of Heineken and watch the news. And that's how you know you're getting old. I was going to say who's out in the dark, but I'm looking at the window here. And
Right.
I can see the sunshine.
No, but the weird thing about the Wickham thing, that main street in Wickham's usually fizzing when it's busy. I mean, was it busy last night?
My mum just saying, yeah, she went, it was a bit fuzzy. Yeah, it was quite busy,
Right.
surprisingly. You've only got like the Middle Path, the Crown, obviously the hotel's open now.
Sure.
And the Bay Horse and Weatherspoons. But even I was surprised as well. I just thought, bloody hell, it is quite busy, to be quite honest.
Well, you're not tempted to go out just to have a look, because I think a lot of people probably would have been.
Yeah, personally, well,
on my table and chairs in the yard outside.
well, yeah, we'll do that.
We live on the front street.
Oh, right, perfect.
Kind of like sit outside, but I was tempted, and I've talked to mates from like a course, and I used to work in like for about a 3-month period from the NHS, like obviously a few months ago.
Right.
And they're like, "No, you know what it is? We've been cooped in the house, we've been doing this, doing that," and they weren't remotely interested. And to be honest, Alan, I'm not remotely interested. Not at the moment, anyway. I'll give it
No.
4 or 5 weeks at least.
Right.
See what the crack is.
Sure.
And cuddling.
My mum seeing like people like grabbing each other, like kissing and cuddling and stuff like that, going, "Oh, we can go to the pub now" and stuff. And I'm thinking, really? Kind of thing? It's bizarre, you know.
It's
well,
that people
I
have been
would say,
desperate for it for such a long time. They think they haven't said, because people right from the beginning have said, keep your distance, make sure in a pub you're at least a metre apart, da-dee-da, stay in your seat, and it just goes to the wall when you've had 2 pints. So.
Well, you see, I mean, my argument and dispute is basically, I mean, a lot of the youngins, yes, they'll go to the pub because they want to. A lot of 17-year-olds now, within that 3-month period, have turned 18. Of course they have. And basically, my argument is that you'll go to the bar, you've got to sit down, you've got to be waiting on like a restaurant, obviously.
It's not a pub experience, though, is it? That's not going to a pub, is it? That's.
Of course not. Thing is, though, this is going to be, well, probably straightforward. I'm going to say 65 to 70-year-olds, right, who let you go to the bar, have a pint with their mates, watch the horse racing. They're not going to sit down, order a pint on the app and wait for that pint. Of course not.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very bizarre what's going on. So all our generation in that respect is kind of like, I don't think they're going to do it. However, the younger generation, 18, 25, 30-year-olds, they probably will. I'm only 31, and I'm not even remotely interested in going to a bar until a good about 2-3 months' time anyway.
Until it gets closer to normal. Yeah, you want it to be the way that it was. You don't want it to be this other thing, because a lot of people would never go out. And I know they say we can serve you a pint, but you've got to have food. That's just a way to claw money in. Most people, when they go to the bar, they're not eating necessarily. You know, they're out there for a few pints.
A lot of these boozers that they call themselves pubs are going to turn into restaurants, so you have to sit down at the table, you have to order food. But you see, in normal restaurants, I can see, like, you know, the likes of got Wagamamas in town or whatever down the quayside. I can see all these boozers, right? Fair enough, you'll go for a meal, but instead of 1 bottle of wine, we're going to have 4 bottles of wine and we're going to get drunk. Kind of thing, do you know what I mean?
Possible.
So they're going to start and use restaurants as pubs because you've had a bit of food. Instead of 1 bottle of wine, now we're going to sit here and have 4 and we're going to last it over 3-4 hours. But that, again, this speak of you've been on a table for 2 hours, you've got to go. Wait, go the next boozer across the road or whatever. You know, it's so strange.
It's a different world. It is, absolutely. But the problem is these places are desperate for people to cross the doors. I'm fairly sure they're not desperate for people to act like the crackers they were yesterday.
Yeah. But you see, I mean, thing is, though, I mean, everyone's been locked down for a good, like, 3.5 months now. And they're desperate. Just going, I just want a fresh pint from a draft. And my mum saying, not me. And you're 61, that's why.
I've been on lockdown.
But she's been for 12 weeks, so, you know, I don't blame her. She necessarily doesn't really go out in any way.
Right.
What I do miss, I drink round, you know, like the gay scene in town.
Right.
Which, you know, is brilliant nights out, Friday, Saturday nights. But the thing is now, there's certain bars have said, there's one in one entry system, like one in, one out.
Ah,
And
right.
you can only go to the toilet if there's only one of you in there and then one out kind of thing. And I'm thinking, really? We guys really don't do this. We like just free flow. We're a party. We'll go to like a Powerhouse or whatever.
Sure.
And we can't do that now. As well as nightclubs, nightclubs especially, you can't do that now.
Well, it's got to come back. It's got to return to some kind of normality at some point. Otherwise, there'll never be football as we used to know it.
Oh, that's what I meant.
There'll never be gigs.
My mum's saying she misses the football, bless her.
So there you go. Because, I mean, the football, yes, we can still watch people playing football, but it's not the same when there's not 52,000 people screaming at them. That
No, you need
gives them a bit of incentive or to go and see a gig or to go to a nightclub and have a dance. We've got to get back to whatever normal used to be. And I know it's going to be slightly different for a while. We've just got to get a handle on this damn virus and get back on with our lives again.
My mum's just saying there, she went, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to take about 4 years. I would say next year, this time next year, hopefully. But I don't know. It's a very weird what's happened and what's going on. It's not just in one country; it's around the bloody world.
I know.
And I just don't know why this has happened. It's very, very bizarre.
It is, and we'll never find the truth out because I don't believe we've been told the truth. And hopefully one day it'll all come to pass and we'll find out what the hell it's really been all about. But you can't deny people are dying and people have died, and it's a tragic thing. And if anybody's lost anybody, they have my utmost sympathy. But there's still more to come out than we've heard. I've got no doubt about that at all. I don't trust any of these people whatsoever. But anyway, hey, lovely talking to you, Gavin. Love to your mum as well. Thank you for coming on.
Before you go, is there anything? I was going to say the hat. Is it the hat, the box? I don't know.
Oh, there's no hats anymore, I'm afraid. But we will be running a competition for one of our mugs very, very soon. So hang on in there. Thanks for coming on. Cheers, guys. All the best. Bye bye. Got his mum there chipping in like mums do, and good stuff. 0191 488 3188. Time for a little piece of music, and we have stars that come out at night. And tonight, we've got an absolute belter. And we're talking first to Katrina from Katrina and the Waves.
When did you learn that you could sing like this?
My parents always sang. We were Catholic family, big family, so when we sat down for supper at night, we always had to sing some holy songs. Yes. And my parents always sang really, really well, and I just sort of assumed that everybody in the whole world could sing really well. And didn't
you sing from your boots, though, don't you?
From my what?
You sing from your boots, woman.
Yes. Yes, right. Well, I'm into to belters and soulful singers, and I mean, I always remember the first time Kim came to us with Walking on Sunshine, and the loud whoa bit in there, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do that in falsetto or what? Because it's way too high to sing, and I always remember him saying, "You have sung that note before. You can do it. You can sing it. It's only what note is it?
It's only a C.
It's only a C." And that's really pretty much. I remember the first song that had that real belt in it, and I'm into that. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, when you're talking about it's amazing what studios can do, you don't need it, no. You've got the ability to do it.
You're such a flatterer.
No, it's true.
What are we going to do with
It's true. I mean, anybody that kind of faces the wall and you can still hear the note in every square inch of the room has got to be. It's got to be.
It was bouncing off the TV.
It was hitting everything. It was tremendous. It's tremendous. Did you get training for it eventually?
No, God forbid. And if ever I give up drinking or try and cut back on the ciggies, that's exactly the point where my voice goes down the tubes.
Really?
Well, it's just because you start worrying about it, putting too much focus on it. You
just gotta let it happen.
Yeah, just relax.
A God-given thing.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls, the phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Hello again, and talking about things that people remember from days gone by. Starting off with Mark, though, who sent a couple of things in. So yesterday, pubs, restaurants, etc. are finally back open. I actually didn't bother venturing to town to the pub because, as I expected, it was hectic, so I've heard. So I'm going to go out for a few, probably through the week when it's hopefully quieter, as most people will be working. Test the waters first before I attempt to touch a weekend, he says. And then things we took for granted that you don't get now, or not in the way they used to be. Do you remember Bird's Eye boil-in-the-bag curry? I must admit, I really don't. There was beef, prawn, chicken and chicken korma. Used to get more juicy sauces in them, not like the drivel you get now. He says probably Jamie Oliver's fault. Who knows? And Will's been back with some more too, sending me screenshots. Don't know what they are. I will find it. Oh, blimey. He sent pictures of the cap guns with the rolls of cap equipment that you would put in there, and a cap grenade as well. Brilliant. And what's the other one? We click on that and see. And they were the bombs, and they looked like a proper bomb. And you would put the perforated cap in the bottom and then lob it. Happy days. Oh, you've just broken another memory. Do you remember Super Bowls? Super Bowls suddenly arrived. You dropped the ball and it bounced up almost as high as it was from when you dropped it. We used to go to the top of blocks of flats, and we knew we were going to lose the ball, of course, but we would throw it really hard down on the ground. It would bounce over people's houses and stuff. It was amazing. It was a awful way to lose money because we'd buy 2 or 3, then we'd go up to the top of a block of flats. But they were fantastic to see. Super Bowls, there's the thing. Other things, got a whole list. The Exotic Woman, that was a painting that you could buy from Woolworths. Loads of people had this same picture of a dusky, exotic Eastern woman on their wall. Hang on, Tony's just coming in with things you missed literally this second. And he has sent in a file, Things You Miss. And it is, I miss my youth. This was me and my girl 30 years ago. My wife still looks great, but I look like a bag of hammers tied in the middle. There you go. You don't look so bad. But it's just lovely to look back and see that you've grown human beings. I mean, how more amazing does life have to be than you've left your mark on the world and your family's going to continue and they've grown up to be good people and they're healthy and they're well. You know, it doesn't get better than that. VHS players, transistor radios. Do you remember little trannies? When a tranny was a very different thing. Home telephones. When your parents used to listen to everything. We had one of those things where we had eventually 2 extensions. We had a one in the hall and we had a one in the living room. So if you wanted to make a private call, you would instantly go into the hall to make the call, and then halfway through you would hear, and it was your parents listening in to make sure you weren't plotting anything too heinous. Centipedes and earwigs and daddy longlegs, as Elaine says. I'm sure they're still out there somewhere, but they used to be common. You used to always see daddy longlegs flying about. Don't see half so many of them. Packs of dogs roaming the streets. Can you remember back in the day, probably before dog licenses, everybody would get up in the morning, open the door, let the dog out, shut the door, and then they'd not see him for the whole day until about tea time when he came in to get fed. 0191 488 3188. We have Susan. She is in Pennywell. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you kindly. What you got for us then tonight?
Well, the thing I miss is beanies.
Beanies? Or beanie babies?
No.
The Beanie
they
Bears?
used to sell them in the fish and chip shop, you know what I mean? They were like sausage meat with beans in the middle.
Oh, blimey, yes. Of
And that's
course.
the thing I miss, and I do crave them sometimes.
Oh, blimey! Because every fish shop had them as well. I mean, they weren't like they weren't just like an oddity for one area or another. Everybody had beanies. It was at the same time when you
Yes,
could
but
get.
now they just look at you as though you're mental.
Absolutely. Well, I can give you a sausage or a spam fritter. That's about as far as they go. But
Not
you,
the same.
can you remember as because what I used to do, and this is a typical Benwell Raji back in the day, we'd wait till the chip shop was 5 minutes from being closed because we didn't have enough money to buy chips. Not every night anyway. And we'd go in there and we'd say, I've got like 7 pence. Can I have some scrunchions? And they used to get you, you know, the bits of
The batter.
well, the bits of batter that fell off. The
Yeah.
it was essentially fat, is what you were getting. But he would say, "Oh, how well then?" And he'd just fill. He's essentially cleaning his cooker. He'd just get rid of all of this stuff, and we'd go away. And hey, it's no wonder there's an obesity problem on planet Earth when we used to be able to. We'd go through about a ton of these things across a week.
Yeah, but you were never fat.
Not when I was a kid. I've bulked out
No,
over the
even
years.
When you were on the radio first, you used to eat 2 Mars bars a day and couldn't put on weight.
I was kind of it, but isn't that just typical? Because I see people now who are like stick thin, and they eat 5 times more than I eat, and all I've got to do now is eat a Malteser, and I've got a belly all of a sudden. So
Look, it was a cream cake.
everything.
Put the weight on. Other people can eat them and not for an ounce on, like my granddaughter.
Oh, they're annoying. I mean, I used to be that annoying, so I suppose karma's come round to teach
Yeah.
me a lesson there. But it is one of those things.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, I never used to ship from 7 stone 4.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was only about the size 6 or 8.
I can just remember that my weight went. Now this sounds ridiculous now, and blame me. I wish I was back there. My jeans were size 26, and I remember the time when I went up to 28, and I thought, "Hell's bells, I'm putting weight on," and I probably couldn't get a leg in a 28 now. That's the thing. But hey, well.
Yeah, like it was when I married my second husband that I started putting weight on.
Why was
And
he?
I
Was
went-
he an eater? Was he? Was he a feeder?
No, I think it was just being calm.
That's nice.
You know what I mean?
Comfortable.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Good.
You know, and as I say, I went from a size 8 up to a 16.
Right.
And I used to sit and look in the mirror and I used to sit and cry. And he used to say, "What are you crying for?" I said, "Look at all the fat." He said, "But it's not fat." He says, "You're lovely."
Ah, well, that's it. It's as long as your partner, loves you for who you are. The whole shape thing's just. I've always thought that. I've always thought that I can appreciate a very slim figure. I can appreciate a curvy figure. It's just more to love, isn't it? That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, but as long as you're happy, that's. I'm with a lady who can really cook, and it's murder. Because it's murder. It is, because she'll put something down and she'll say, "Is that enough?" And it could probably feed 3, and you think, well, yeah, it looks lovely, but it tastes lovely. So you end up just you just keep going, don't you? That's the problem. But
my ex-husband, I'm saying ex-husband, he's not. He died in March.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
So it wasn't the corona that got him. That was the main thing. He'd been bad for a long time with the Parkinson's.
Oh, my goodness. Well, he's free of the shakes now.
Pneumonia that got him at the finish.
Right.
But at least it wasn't the corona, because I don't think I could have coped with that.
Right. Well, and also, I always think with people that have problems that really slow them down and stop them from being who they are, I always feel particularly sorry for folk like that.
Irritate him. Irritate him.
Drive him mad a bit, right?
Yeah, well, he was a gardener all his life, and he couldn't even do the garden at the finish.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what I mean? I'm not a gardener, but I try to keep it tidy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world, that's for sure. Not if it's not your thing. But hey, I'm sure he'll be tending better and more beautiful gardens now. I'm sure he's in a better
Oh.
place. I wish him well.
Definitely.
Anything else then,
I
Susan?
made me strong and that and cope.
Yeah, well, but you see, you were very lucky. You managed to find somebody that made you feel. And hey, is there anything
Yes,
better than
that's-
feeling at peace with yourself and your situation? That's a lovely
If
place
still
to be.
been alive today, it would have been our 40th wedding anniversary.
Blimey. Hey, well, that makes you even more
So
lucky. That's a lot.
I hadn't 40 years, so I was really,
That's a
really
blessing.
lucky.
That is a blessing, absolutely. Hey, good on you. Hey, Susan, thank you for coming on, darling. All the best to you and stay well.
Oh, I will do.
Thank you, darling. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, isn't she nice? And what a shame. But you see, people say that if you love somebody, whether they have to leave us or not, that love lives on. And blimey, that's proof of that particular pudding. Now, told you that every hour I'm going to give you a clue. You'll end up with 4 words. Those 4 words are from a famous song. But can you identify what song it is? The first clue is this: Lana Del Rey's Girl, or a spice taken from the bark of a tree. Okay? Lana Del Rey had a minor hit called Something Girl. It's that word we're looking for. And it is the name of a spice that's taken from the bark of a tree. Okay? That's your first clue. Write it down, and then let's see where we go from there. That's your first clue. You'll end up with 4 words. Do not try and guess it until you hear the 4th clue, okay? Right, let us move on. And we have Simon, and he is from Peterlee. Hi, Simon.
Hi, Alan. How are you, Ian?
I'm good, thank you kindly. What are you talking about tonight?
Oh, wait. I was talking about something else, but things you miss. Do you remember the little paper cherry bombs?
Oh, yes, I do.
Little tissue paper, and you used to twist the top up and drop them from the top of your steps in your school, from the top block to the bottom block.
It fired.
Yeah.
I remember
And
that.
spud guns as well.
Spud guns, brilliant. Oh, spud guns were great because people don't understand. There is an entire couple of generations that have no idea just how much fun you can have. They say that they're banned by health and safety, but all you needed was a spud gun, which looked like a pistol, and a potato, and you stuck the end into a potato, and then you kind of bent your hand down a bit just so that you ripped off a bullet shape of potato. And then you could fire it at people with a fair bit of velocity as well. I mean, they really stung on a bare leg.
Oh, they did sting as well.
They were fantastic. I loved spud guns. They were tremendous.
And you know, you used to get them. I'd go down to the paper shop on a Saturday, get me new comic and a spud gun, and it would be on a cardboard backing thing, and it would be strapped to it with, it's a bit like bag ties, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you were always losing them, and then you knew that you could go down the paper shop and get another one for a couple of pennies.
Coppers, absolute coppers.
They were absolutely great. And then there's something else that it reminded me, things that you miss, when you just said to the previous caller about you used to be a 26-inch waist.
Uh-huh.
Because I can remember being that. I'm a 32 now, so I'm not quite.
Oh, that's
that
not
bad.
bad. That's pretty good.
Aye. And do you remember the shrink-to-fit jeans? You pull them on and sit in the bath for about an hour.
I had a pair of them. And you feel frankly such a tool. Yes. And my mother walked in and she said, "Hang on, you got your jeans on." I says, "You're supposed to." And then my mother went out and said to me dad, "He thinks you're supposed to sit in the bath with your jeans on." And my dad came in and played hell with me. I remember that.
Aye, and then I used to think I was really cool in the early 80s, and then I'd have the shrink to fit away. You used to call them drain pipes then, didn't you? Not skinny fit now.
Right.
And I would tuck them into me high top trainers.
Blimey. And that with a big tongue sticking out.
That's the ones. That goes back to the shell suit days, that one.
Absolutely. I remember when, because being a rock fan for over the years, I remember when a lot of the rock bands were wearing, they looked like tights, but they weren't tights. They were like shiny, tight like stuff. And I'm never, not in the world would I wear those kind of things. But they used to wear boxing boots for no particular reason, just because they went over the top of these weird kind of trousers.
Well,
and
they were kind of like spandex.
it was absolutely,
things, weren't they?
it was absolutely spandex, just so they could show off their ball of string and their dead mouse. I think that's what it was. But the boxing boots, I always wanted a pair, and I'm saying to my mother, "Can I have a pair of boxing boots?" But you don't box. That's not the point. You know, it never makes any sense. And I ended up getting a pair from a jumble sale for coppers, and they were white and a bit battered, but you could tart them up with a bit of that white polish stuff.
Dubbing.
The dubbing, absolutely. And what they didn't tell you is they lace right up from the bottom. So once you start, you're lacing them through like 30 different tongues on each side, and they go right up to your knee. Nobody's got that kind of time. Nobody. You'd put them on and you'd start lacing them, and then you'd go, "Oh, the hell with it, I'll put my trainers on," because life's too short for that kind of thing.
Well, I have to say, I'm an old school punk, which I probably think I've told you before.
Yeah.
And about 18 months ago, I bought myself a pair of grinder boots, and they're 26 holes.
Oh, cheapest, right.
And they take me, I haven't got shrink to fit, but I've got skinny fit bleacher jeans, which I've bleached myself.
Right.
And it takes me about 20 minutes to lace them up.
Cheapest.
So hence, I don't wear them very often.
But that's it. You see them in the cupboard and you think, "Oh, I'd look good in..." Oh, no, you're all right. But the thing with the jeans, did you domesticate them? Because what we used to do was we would get a pair of jeans, and then if you wanted them more washed out, you'd fill a bath, put a bit of Domestos in it, just a little bit, not enough to do you any harm, and you'd leave. Then you'd put your jeans in, and it would about 5 layers of colour would disappear, and you'd have this lovely washed out stony kind of thing going on.
Yeah, well, I'll get my jeans, I lay them in the bath,
right,
and I'll spray a little bit of bleach on, and then I get a paintbrush, which, the paintbrush that I've got is absolutely knackered now because the bleach has eaten the brushes away.
But make sure you wear underpants. You never know what else it might damage in there.
Yeah, indeed. And I'll just paint them over. And I actually couldn't believe it. I think it must have been a couple of years ago. And I actually got one of the last pairs of 14-hole Oxblood made in England Dr. Martens at the Dr. Martens shop at where the Grays Monument is.
Yes, know it. In the indoor market, there's a big shoe shop that sells weird and cool shoes. Is that the place you're talking about?
That's not that one. It's the actual Dr. Martens shop.
All right, gotcha.
And the last that I was talking to, she said, "I like your jeans. How did you do them?" And she looked like she was a proper rocky, punky kind of chick. And I said, "Wait, you just lay your jeans in the bath and you spray some bleach on and then the paintbrush."
Yeah.
"Oh, well, I'll have to do that." And I'm thinking, wait.
Oh, you missed a chance. You should have said, "Come to my house, I'll show you me brush."
Hi.
If you were a punk, did you not have those trousers that had the bondage straps and stuff attached to them?
I've got them now.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. I'm 53 this year, and I've got them now. Red tartan with the zips and the straps.
Great.
And I know I get some funny looks, but hey, I didn't care really. And I actually got a pair of boots that I've always coveted since the 1970s. I seen a lad at school, and they were the screw-in commando soles.
Right, yeah.
And I actually got a pair from, there's a company or shop down in London. Can I mention that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go for it. No worries.
It's a shop called the British Boot Company down in Camden in London.
Brilliant.
And they do all of the, made in England, all the old school boots.
Yeah.
And they actually got a pair of Gladiator boots with the Screw-In Commando Souls, and I absolutely love them. I can't tell you how much I love them and how comfortable they are.
Yeah.
14-hole oxblood.
Brilliant.
And honestly, I was absolutely gobsmacked when I found them, because I've coveted them for, about 40-odd years.
Oh, brilliant. But to finally find something that you've looked for that length of time gives you a hell of a kick. One of my funniest memories of doing a live gig is a punk. I did a few punk gigs, because punk runs a real good parallel with rock anyway, because essentially you're doing roughly the same kind of thing. And I did this punk gig, and at the time I was in this club. And I think it was either Bishop Auckland or Newton Aycliffe. I can't remember which one of the two, but it was punk night and everybody was there. And my long-standing memory was of this guy, and he was wearing grey dungarees, but they were up to about the middle of his calf, and then he had Dr. Martens that went right the way up, if you know what I mean. Big pair of Doc Martens, and he had a hoopy T-shirt with ripped off sleeves, and he loaded with tattoos and a Mohican. So he was your typical mainstream punk. And they put the strobes on, and you know the strobes make everybody look as if they're going really slow. So the strobes came on, and I was playing the Stranglers. It was a B-side at the time, but it was a big punk hit. Go, buddy, go, buddy, go, buddy, go, buddy, go, go, go. And everybody's pogoing. Yeah, there's another thing you don't see every day. Everybody was pogoing. And I saw this guy, but you got to remember, it's kind of like in an old movie, because everybody's moving really slow in the strobe. And I saw this guy swear at the guy with the dungarees on her. And the guy in the dungarees is pogoing his socks off on the floor. And this guy picked up a glass ashtray. And I know this sounds cruel. The guy didn't die. He was all right. But I bet this hurt. This guy chucked the ashtray at him. And it caught him. Didn't hit him full on, but it caught him on the side of his head. And spun him round and knocked him on the floor in slow motion. And it was the kind of stuff that you would see in a film and you'd never believe. And I watched it, and I must admit, I really wanted to laugh. And then the guy got up, and he had a lump on his head like a duck egg, and he's going, well, you can imagine the kind of language. Everybody else just kept pogoing and pushing and shoving like you did on a pogo dance floor. And he never got round to catching the guy that did it, but it was really funny. It's awful, because we do laugh at other people's mishaps, but that really did, because the guy was full of himself and, kind of going over the top a bit too much, and this guy brought him to earth with a bang, a real bang as well. No, I love all the punk stuff.
I tend not to pogo or body slam anymore, because it gets me into trouble.
It's kind of like that thing, though. Old rock and roll. If you've ever been to a rock and roll night, somebody will get on the floor and do all of that kicky stuff so that nobody else can dance around them. And people have to back off and stop dancing because they're doing all of these moves. It was the same if a punk track came on. All of a sudden, there's two people pogoing and shoving people who are just having a nice dance. And you used to see that from time to time. Happy days. No, it's good to talk to a punk, man. Anything else then, Sam?
I was going to talk about the coronavirus, but I don't know if I want to, because it'll might bring down the mood.
Hey, please yourself, man. Whatever you feel.
Right, in the message that I put on, you see Catalonia has locked down a couple of 100,000, and then Galicia today another 70,000.
Yeah.
Australia, 9 estates and a couple of city blocks as well. And they've traced it all back to bars where people have been congregating. And it was just off the back of the scenes yesterday, way more so, I suppose, the thing that people have seen on media, social media and TV the most is the scenes in Soho in London yesterday.
Yes.
Which were absolutely bonkers.
So do you genuinely believe that this is just opening the door for this to spread even more? Because everybody is they've been caged for so long. They wanted an outburst of "we're free" kind of thing, and that's how it's felt. Even if people did go too far, can you really see the government locking down the whole country again?
No, and the reason I say no is because that's why, what, a week, 10 days ago, they started mentioning local lockdowns.
Like Leicester,
think,
for example.
Yeah, and I think that's why what they want to do is try and keep pockets of the economy open and like local businesses open where there's not so much coronavirus in the spread. But this is off the back that in the last 24 hours, the World Health Organization has actually said we've had the highest transmission rates globally in the last 24 hours. I think, you know.
Well, we gotta hold our breath, hold our nerve, and see what happens. But from what Boris has been saying, they want to go full out and charge. And Donald Trump, blimey, you just got to look at America where it's horrific at the present moment. And he's just said in a speech yesterday, 99% of COVID cases, you'll be fine. Like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, well,
madness.
Don't even get me started on that, madman.
Hey, good talking to you, Simon. Thank you for coming on. Bless you, man.
Aye. Thank you, Alan.
Dan Canny. There you go. We've had punks on the show. We love punks. 3 songs. If you wanna see if you like punk music, yes, you can listen to the Pistols. Stranglers, I love with a passion. Nice and Sleazy Does It by the Stranglers. Have a listen to the Rods, because they only had one big hit, Eddie and Hot Rods, but it was Do Anything You Want to Do. Brilliant song. And the other one, Sham 69, If the Kids Are United, with a wham kind of guitar on the back of it. That would be my choice of 3, just to test whether there's an ounce of punk in you or not. Anyway, let us crack on. We've got some conversation with Stevie Nicks coming up fairly soon too. Quick break before that, and then we will talk to Amy, who is in Nice in the south of France.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, we are on the Night Owls, of course, getting a few things in. And Anne says, being able to ring a phone number. These are things that we used to take for granted back in the day that have completely changed. Being able to ring a phone number and talk to a real person instead of having 10 options to go through first. Well said. Easter has sent me a picture. Reach for the sky. Easter still has his spud gun. Yes, he does. Oh, it's a big one as well. If you're going to have one, Easter, have a big one, that's for sure. He's got a whopper, it's like a machine gun, spud gun. And also, Mark says, on Friday night, I sat and watched an old 80s classic called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The lass on there, Ferris's girlfriend, Sloane, played by Mia Sara. I've taken a liking to her. She is so hot, even to this day in her late 40s, early 50s. There you go. Strange fact. Okay? Matthew Broderick, who played Ferris Bueller, around that time, went to Ireland on a holiday with his girlfriend at the time, he's not with her now, Jennifer Grey. She was the one that Patrick Swayze held up in the air in Dirty Dancing. They went on holiday to Ireland, and Broderick forgot he wasn't in America, and he was driving on the wrong side of the road, and he took out a car heading in the opposite direction, and somebody lost their life on the back of that. Strange but true. Anyway, I have at the present moment someone that I know a little bit about. I particularly like gymnastics. If I'm looking for, particularly an Olympic sport, that's probably the one I would head for. And this girl, I remember at the time, was 16. She was doing her GCSEs and training hard for the British team. Ended up getting silver on the beam. She got a gold medalist on floor exercises in the 2018 British Gymnastic Championships. She was bronze medalist at the Olympics on a floor exercise. 2015, she was all-round champion, and she made history with Team GB at the Rio Olympics 2016. Her name is Amy Tinkler. Now, usually when we talk to people who are celebs, we organise it, we ring them up, we talk to their people, and their people talk to us, and we go through that whole dance. However, she's just called in. She happens to be on a beach in Nice, in the south of France, with her man, who is Max. Hello, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. Good to talk to you, Amy. First of all, I can't think of anything cooler than being sat on a beach in Nice at what would be 12:30 your time. What a wonderful thing to do. We hear that there's pretty much a hot weather storm down there. Everything's toasty warm. Is that true?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I've definitely been loving life out here.
No, but how long have you been down there?
A bit warmer than
Are you just there for holidays, or were you over there and you got caught up in the whole COVID thing?
No, so my boyfriend lives out here. So we met kind of maybe like a month before lockdown.
Right.
And then we couldn't see each other for maybe 3-4 months.
Oh, blimey.
Because of the whole coronavirus lockdown thing. So FaceTiming every night and everything, and then I kind of missed him too much, so I came over to see him.
Well, as soon as the lockdown quarantine thing disappeared, you got on a flight and you were there.
Yeah, so over in France, everything's pretty much back to normal now, to be honest.
Good.
It's really weird, to be honest, going from everything being so strict in England to it being so chill over here.
Is there any social
Is
there social distancing there, or are people not bothering?
No, I mean, you're better off asking Max, but it doesn't seem to be. It seems just like everything's completely back to normal now.
Right. Okay. Restaurants just the same. You sit in the cafes and.
Yeah, sit in. There's no social distancing in restaurants either.
Wow, that's cool. So I gather one of the reasons you're calling is because Max is a bit of a talent, I hear.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, so obviously, like I said, we were apart for maybe 3-4 months.
Right.
And Max is a singer and songwriter, and he wrote a song for me while we were like away from each other in lockdown, which was like the sweetest thing ever.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, has he got his guitar with him?
Not with them.
Because I'm going to say it's an odd thing to take to a beach unless you really are that romantic. But, hey, next time he's anywhere near it, tell him he can sing it to us live.
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks.
That'd be great. Now, hey, well, why not? How long you been playing, Max?
I started when I was 14, and I started writing, and I got into recording and producing my own songs.
Great.
And ever since, it's been a huge passion of mine.
So are you working live around the south of France or across the country?
Yeah, I mean, where I live, like in Nice and stuff, there's not it's not really like London or England where there's like
a scene
places to play live.
Yeah.
But I did a competition called Destination Eurovision, which was a competition in France to see who would represent France at the Eurovision.
All right.
And I did that in 2018, and I got to the finals. And so that was really exciting.
Yeah.
And that opened up loads of opportunities. But yeah, I kind of want to continue doing like English music because that's, I write in English, and so
sure,
it's a bit easier for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you meet Amy then?
Well, basically, I think my mum and my manager, they were like, oh, you should really get out of your comfort zone and do like an acting course.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'll go to this acting course. And I went down to London, and I was kind of dreading it. And then I met Amy there.
Right.
And
it was definitely an interesting weekend.
No, I can imagine. I mean, did he just fall in love with you because you're that bendy?
I don't know. That's one for Max.
Amy, if I could just ask you a few questions just about the whole thing that you went through, and I know it's a few years back when you were having all of this major success. You were only 16 years old and you were going through your exams, and you were training to be in Britain's top team for the championships and working towards the Olympics and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that's surreal for somebody that's at school taking exams and, oh, by the way, I'm just popping down the gym because in a few days I might be in Rio. I mean, it sounds otherworldly.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. And still, to be honest, looking back at it, I mean, like, even like Max, he says to me, like, the whole, like, the results and everything were incredible. But to me, like, I guess, gym was just my life, and it was just another competition. It was my job, and you go out there to do your job. So to me, it just still doesn't really seem like a massive deal.
No, but I mean, to other kids that were doing their GCSEs, they thought that was stress. And then you had all this other stuff going on at the same time and it wasn't just at school where you're doing training. Straight after school, boom, I presume you'd be down the gym again, hammering it out with professional coaches trying to make you the best that you could be. And they were obviously successful at it. I mean, that must have made school 10 times harder for you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't easy for me. I missed a lot of school because of training camps and travelling abroad. And every week I'd have a Monday and a Friday afternoon off school, and I'd go in late on a Tuesday morning and a Thursday morning. So I had like a lot of catch-up work to do. But obviously my school, Durham High, they were just incredible at supporting me through that.
Did your friends not get so jealous, thinking she's never here, she's always getting away with this and getting away with that? They must have given you some flack, surely, to goodness.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, there was a lot of homework that I never had to do and stuff. But at the same time, they knew how much hard work I was putting in the gym, because I'd come into school some days like half asleep, or
right.
I'd get a flight back from like, I don't know, say American Cup, where I was in New York, and I'd land in the airport at like 1 a.m. and be in school the next day and stuff. So like, it was definitely hard work, and they knew that and they appreciated that. And I was never like they never pressured me if they were going out to parties or whatever. Like,
Mm.
I had a really good group of friends there that really supported me.
No, that's good. Mind you, looking back, does it appear like a dream? Because a lot of these places that you went to, it was literally hit and run. You'd go there, perform, then pretty much come straight back. I mean, hard to know where you are at any particular time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my mum was kind of the one who kept my diary and was like, Amy, you're off to here tomorrow. Amy, you're going here next week. And to be honest, I kind of just got used to it. Like, everything was so chaos. But I guess it's easier when it's like that. You don't think about things too much and you can just go and enjoy it. Yeah, the whole Olympic experience is definitely still just a dream. Like, it just doesn't seem real.
So what happens now, though, Amy? Because you had all of this success, and I mean, Major is successful pretty much as any gymnast has had from Britain. Where do you go from there? Do you go into training? Or I heard, obviously, Max talking about taking acting classes and what have you. Is that the route you're taking?
Yeah, so obviously I retired back in January. At the minute, obviously, like, with the whole coronavirus situation, not much is happening. I'm hoping to get into media work, like presenting either on TV or on radio.
Right.
And I guess the acting course for me was kind of just something to help build my confidence and push me out of my comfort zone.
Right.
Probably very similar to Max.
Sure.
Obviously, I've come from a performance background and singing as well as performance, so I guess it was definitely useful for both of us. But yeah, I guess I'll just see where everything goes.
No, well, I tell you, you haven't done badly if you're sitting on a beach in Nice at the present moment. When, I mean, we've had gale force winds and drizzle, and you're sitting there in a heat wave on a beach in southern France. That sounds all right to me. Well, hey, we'll have a wonderful time, Amy and Max. Thank you both for coming on. Lovely to get a call out of the blue. So glad that you're aiming to exceed all expectations again in a different field. That's a gutsy thing to do, because a lot of people would have just said, well, that was me moment in the sun, now let's do X. But no, you go for it, lass. I wish you well. All the very best to the pair of you. And next time Max gives us a call, make sure he's got an instrument in his hands, all right?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
No worries. Have a great night. You take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye. How nice was that? Out of the blue. You see, northern people, they know where to come. 0191 488 3188. Keep your calls coming in. Things you miss, we're getting more of them piling in too. We want your views also. Moths with big fat bodies. Apparently there's none of them about anymore. They used to be minging. My cats used to catch them and eat them like bananas. You'd hear the crunch. Also, houses smelling of cabbage. All right. Monkey trees and monkey nuts. Now, I remember you used to be able to go to your local shop, usually like a corner shop, before supermarkets, really, like a Spar. And you could buy bags of monkey nuts in the shells, and you'd have to open the shells and eat the two little nuts that came in it. What happened to monkey nuts? Are they not still available anywhere? Bomber jackets. Somebody said bomber jackets. Remember them? Everybody used to walk around with their arms. Oh, you tough me. Rattling letterboxes. Before there were doorbells. Surely there must have been doorbells. But he says you used to go to your friend's house and you'd rattle the door knocker. Or shouting for your mates. We used to sing for hours because everybody left their doors open, even in Benwell. That's maybe you wouldn't do that now. But we used to go to the door and you'd open the door, then there'd be like a glass door before you got into the house. And you would sing the name of the person that you wanted. If it was me mate Tony, you would go, Tony. And then Tony would come out, or his mother would shout, "It's in the toilet!" Or whatever. Am I the only person that did that? Surely other people must have too. Dog poo and snowballs. We called that chemical warfare. If there was somebody that you really didn't like, you'd find a bit of dog poo and you'd get a stick and you'd have the dog poo on the end of the stick. You'd start making a snowball, but before you'd made it properly, you'd stick the dog poo in the middle of the snowball. And you'd hit somebody that you really didn't like. Shouldn't do that now, because we've learned that dog poo has Toxicara in it, so don't do it. The comic called Treasure. Don't remember that at all. Draft Bass. If ever you wanted to be flatulent, Draft Bass would do it. And they've also written Baby Sham, Advocar, and Glen Dew, which apparently was whiskey and wine. I used to be too heavy a drinker, and Glen Dew, or was it Clan Dew? I remember the whiskey and wine thing doing me great harm one day. Anyway, what else can you remember? It used to be a part of your everyday life, but you never see or never hear from it now. And we have, who else is out there in the dark? I think it's Jan, and she's in Gateshead. Hi, Jan.
Hello.
Hello, darling. What have you got for me tonight?
Pipe cleaner. Used to put the... I think...
I never knew you smoked a pipe, Jan.
No, pipe cleaner. Listen, if you listen to what I'm going to say. You've got these long pipe cleaners, and you got some paper, but they were like, you know, the tab rolling paper, that kind of paper.
Yeah.
We used to have a little bottle of setting solution, right? We used to put the tab paper on the bottom of our hair and wrap the pipe cleaner, put the setting on, and then we used to look at the mirror and say, yes, that's a gun clean, you know? slap on my makeup while the cleaners at him.
Yeah, brilliant.
Put me naff jacket on, and my jeans. I thought I was a bee's.
There you go. Yeah, I can't ever remember ever seeing a girl with pipe cleaners and cigarette paper in their hair, but I'm sure you look cute.
No, but you took them out, let your hair dry natural, and you got some lovely curls in your hair.
I see. So it was a homemade curler, really.
Aye.
Gotcha.
So like it's too.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, because I remember my mother with curlers. I mean, she had those plastic ones with the bits sticking out on them.
Remember them?
Yeah, and the other thing that you've just reminded me of, if ever my mother was doing her hair with perm solution, as soon as you opened the front door, you kind of got hit with an acid attack. Whoa! It was one of the worst smells on earth, wasn't it? Horrible.
You never forget them kind of smells, do you?
Shipper.
I wonder if Kevin Keegan used pipe cleaner.
Kevin had a
same thing, wasn't he? He had a curly hair.
He was the curliest of the curly, and he made a record where he was with his curly locks and stuff. And the weird thing was, he captained a football match. I was on his team, and we all decided that for a laugh, we'd all put curly wigs on to run out on the pitch. We didn't tell him. So, and the idea was he ran out, and then he introduced everybody. You know, some of them were like professional players, some of them were like television and radio people, and we all had curly wigs on. And he took a bit of a strop. No, I didn't actually. I don't think any of us did, because we were wearing like comedy curly hair. It wasn't like, hello, don't I look handsome? We all looked ridiculous. But he took a bit of a. We had to take the wigs off pretty damn quick. It was obvious by his face that he wasn't exactly appreciating it. But we had a good game. But curly was just a part of his past, you see. I think he wanted to leave it there as well, frankly.
Oh.
Anything else?
Right, on Saturday I took 2 big, massive cakes in to the QE.
Oh, lovely.
And you know what? You know, when I was getting closer to the QE door, and you know, with this coronavirus,
yeah,
I was panicking. I thought, right, is it safe? Is it this? Is it
yeah,
that?
you know, I don't blame
Never mind going to the pub. I was too scared to go. But everything was safe in the QE.
Yeah, sure.
And I haven't been in for like months yet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be anyway.
No, lovely thing to do though. Was that for the staff, for the nurses and the doctors and stuff?
Yeah, was
great.
For everybody. I went to Costco.
Right.
And ordered them, so I had to wait in the queue to go and pick them up, but like I done everything safe.
No, that's lovely.
Plugged everything and then dropped them off on Saturday.
Right. No, nice
And,
touch.
I was a moon with him, but I'm getting a message back off one of the ladies, the staff,
Mm-hmm.
and they said it was really delicious, the edit on Saturday, on the shift that they were there. All the staff, it went, 2 big cakes, gone, just like that.
I bet.
But have you seen how many staff there is?
Yeah, oh,
Quite
but
a few, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. There's
But
thousands.
they all deserve what they've done for everybody,
Nah, for sure.
don't they?
That's why it was so sad to hear that they're not going to give people in the NHS any kind of pay rise. And let's face it, they could do with it. Instead, Boris has said, "But I will reward them." But if it's not money, what's it going to be? Like a certificate saying you did really well. It's not the same as cash in the bank, in my opinion.
Nah, they all deserve a pay rise.
Yeah, they do for sure.
You know what?
What's that?
Do you know how you've got, like, everybody's got to work by the hour, the rate, and everything?
Yeah.
Well, they should go to the NHS and let them have the top dollar. Reason we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, well said.
Things could be in a right crisis, which they have been.
No, for sure.
They all deserve a pay rise.
They do. No question about it. Hey, thank you very much, Jan. Anything else?
Do you know the club before I go?
Yeah.
You know the pubs and clubs?
Yes.
You go into the bars. Well, I haven't been in one, but I'm just saying.
Right.
You can go in. I know it's funny what I'm going to say.
Uh-huh.
You can go into the pub before the coronavirus. There's a group on. There's entertaining. There's a comedian on. And there's things happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go into the pub now, it's like quiet.
It's like a library. You've got to sit in your place and wait till they come and bring you a bevy and or some food. It's a different experience, and it doesn't surprise me that people are being reluctant to go. We've kind of trained ourselves to stay at home and get a few tins in. That seems to be where we're at. But it's interesting times. Hey, Jan, thank you very much again.
Thank you, Alan.
Great to hear from you.
Bye.
I will, darling. Thank you. Isn't she canny? That's really nice. I've just been sent a picture from Amy of the beach and exactly what she can see. And it's overlooking the sea, and there seems to be across the other side of the lagoon is a lot of houses and shops and stores, all with their lights still on. The moon shining down the beach, and it's warm and toasty because, as I say, they've had a bit of a heat wave across that particular part of the world, and it is absolutely glorious. And she just says, thanks for having us on. Hey, thanks for calling. It's all good. Chris also says, hi to all of the staff and residents at St Anne's Care Home in Whitley Bay. Thank you all for being with us. I hope you're well, and I hope that the damn virus has been kind to your particular building. Anyway, time to talk stuff. We had a chat earlier on about a guy who goes out into the middle of Kielder Forest and he saw dark shapes moving around. Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac. Has she ever experienced anything like that? Ever seen a ghost or had a strange, spooky encounter of any kind?
I've never really ever seen ghosts, but I definitely feel that they... For instance, there's a little girl that I dedicated this record to. Her name was Sarah. She was, I met her when she was like 22, and she died when she was 24 of a really bad cancer. And she came to me through the Make-A-Wish Foundation in the States. Right. And a few days before I left, some music that I had sent to her. I had it on the cable music stations, and it was early in the morning, and it was on a Sunday, and this song came on that I had just equated with her, and that they actually played at her service. Wow! And it came on, and it woke me up. I sat up on my bed. It was a beautiful slow song, and my little Yorkie came over and just stood right on my chest and looked at me. And I said, she's here, isn't she? And Sulamith, her name is Sulamith, looked at me and started to bark. And she's never done this because I live in a condo that's very, you don't hear anything outside. Sure. She went through the house barking like a mad woman. And then she came back and she looked at me again, and I said, she's here.
Yeah.
And she went off again. And I thought, that's it. She's definitely here.
That's lovely. That is a blessing indeed.
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
You are with the big one. Now, beanies. We've been talking about beanies, which are like sausages, but they had beans in them. Claire says you can get them at the Chippy in Newburn. And also, Neil from Silksworth says you can get them at the Hut. So they're still out there. Alison Heslop says she remembers taking her pop bottles back to the Red House in Blythe. And she said she also had a dog that you could put the money in the dog's mouth and the dog would go to the shop, buy crisps and bring them home before it ate them. That was Duke the Labrador. Happy days. Ross has been back on. He says, you never see porn magazines in bin bags in the woods anymore. Now, if you saw a bin bag in the woods, oh, porn, really? Never come across that in my life, Ross. But then again, I've never walked in your shoes. Darren Moldova says, single-decker buses, back in the day, apparently, you used to be able to smoke on the back seats. And also, a Lego man says he remembers Metroland and that little bit of the Metro Centre that had the 1800s feel. He says, why did they get rid of them? There was a mind, body and spirit shop that used to sell crystals and fossils and stuff like that. So there you go. I'm also going to give you your second clue for tonight's song that you've got to identify from 4 words. The first clue, Lana Del Rey's Girl. She had a song called Something Girl. It's that word we're looking at. And if you can't get it from that, this is a spice taken from the bark of a tree. That's your first clue. Your second clue is this. Take the yolks out, and what are you left with? Take the yolks out, what are you left with? Okay? Take the yolks out, what are you left with? 2 clues down, 2 more clues to come. Can you identify this big hit that really made an explosion of interest in this particular artiste or artistes? Okay? 2 clues down, 2 more clues to come. Let us go and talk to Brian, who's in Gateshead. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Alan.
Hello,
I
man.
will mention about the coronavirus. I just want to talk about nicer things first.
Okay.
So, favourite comics when I was younger, right? I used to enjoy reading the Sparky, Easer, Topper, and Whoopi comics. I wasn't such a Dandy or Beano fan, but they were my favourite comics. Do you remember them there?
I do. Topper and the Beezer especially, because they used to occasionally have a present in them. And do you remember that thing? It was triangular, and you got hold of one end of the cardboard, and you'd hammer it like you were hammering a nail,
Oh, yeah.
and it would fire a bit of paper out that went, poof. And we
Yeah,
always thought
I
that
do
was
remember that.
immensely
That was
clever.
strange.
Yeah, it was
You
a...
used to get weird things inside there. A Sparky and all these to give a lot of freebies away as well.
Yeah.
The comic Sparky.
So who were the
But,
characters in the Sparky? I remember the Beezer. I
God.
can't remember the Sparky at all.
Oh, I'm trying to think. There was this funny it looked like a bunch of dough from another planet, like a dough-shaped character, like it looked like Play-Doh or something. I can't remember the characters now. It was quite, yeah. It was all about space, and that was quite a spooky comic. Do you know what I mean? It was weird.
Yeah.
It really was.
Sounds it.
But I just remember. Do you remember the Rubik's cubes and that?
Yeah, of course. Oh,
I
bloody.
could do the Rubik's cube. I was obsessed with it at the time. I could do it with it. It took us about 2 minutes, but I could eventually crack it.
I hated people
But I
like
had
you.
a Rubik's snake as well. You know, do you remember them Rubik's snakes? You could make all sorts of characters out of Rubik's snakes.
Yeah, I do. I hated people like you, though, because I never got close to finishing
Yeah.
a Rubik's Cube.
There was
Not
another
that-
one, Alan, but nobody seems. Everybody I've asked has never heard of this before. I don't know. I must be the only person ever had one. It was like a Rubik's cube, right? But it was shaped like a 50-pence shape, and it was like if you imagine 3 50-pences stacked on top of each other. It was like that. It was like a Rubik's cube, 50-pence shaped all around. It was called a decahedron. It was a more advanced Rubik's cube. You knocked it out of shape, and you had to put it back into shape like all 50-pences,
Right.
and then do all the colours. It was just like a Rubik's cube but harder. I
Right.
could do that as well.
I don't recall those either. But then again, I hated Rubik's Cubes because I was always made to look an idiot. And I'd do it, and then somebody'd grab a hold of it and say, give us it here, and go, and everything
up
was in
by
the
it.
right
Aye.
place. Hated people like that.
Yeah, people did do that when I said, "Do it, mess it up. How fast can you do it?" This time I said, "Whiz right through," and that sometimes I said, "Go that fast."
Right.
The pieces used to jump out the damn thing. Do you know what I mean? To come out. That was annoying. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah, the decahedrons, I've been trying to get hold of one, but you can't seem to get them anywhere.
Well,
Don't
if
know where.
any night owl has a decahedron that they don't want, we've got somebody that could do with
I'd
it.
love to cancel one of them.
Brilliant. Well, you never know.
I mean, you know the COVID thing on about the pubs and that, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's been going back to the pubs and that.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't even get me back in the bar, even if I had naked women serving at the bar.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't go back, Alan, because it's far too dangerous. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
they've been saying on the TV that this guy who's specialist, he's saying, we're going to have a second spike in that. And when you've seen all the people in the bars standing near each other, oh, there's Joe, hello, mate, I haven't seen you for ages. Come and give you a hug, pat in the back. There you go. I mean, people become very, unconscious of where they are. And then they start oh, there's my best mate there and that. And everybody's hugging each other.
Yeah.
Just far too dangerous.
And it is. You cannot really police it because once an entire bar's had half a dozen pints, it's not like you can say, "Don't forget your your social distancing." People are already sitting together around the same table, so
You've got to take your mask off with them to drink. You got to sit there and drink with your mask on. It's impossible.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. But you see, we've got to get back to normal because the economy's screwed, isn't it?
Oh no, it's a huge risk, and you know what I mean. Obviously, if we don't, everything's just going to fall apart. I mean, obviously, I feel sorry for like the theatres and stuff as well. Because everyone likes to go and see a pantomime, don't they?
Sure,
kids and that. Is that going to happen in Christmas time? We just don't know, do we?
Well, we don't even know whether they're going to start letting people in. Now, football grounds are big enough for you to be able to social distance, I suppose, but you'd only get half a crowd in. And I don't know whether they're going to wait and hold out till until people are allowed in, literally side by side. But it's completely changed football, and I think a lot of the games you wouldn't have got the results that you're getting if you'd had a crowd in there, cheering on, and because it's worth a goal to a team to have 52 thousand people cheering their names,
Do you know what they should do? Well, at the town more on a nice day. Some of these big breweries should put marquees up because they're massive things on it, and then you walk through one door and then through the other door. There's plenty of space for people to move around. I can't understand why nobody puts up marquees anymore. You know what I mean? They could put up giant marquees and start selling ales and stuff on the town war or something.
Well, I mean, all those things are possible. It's just that it's pubs that need the money more than breweries, I think. And the big breweries are probably wealthy enough to be able to last it out, but people that run pubs have got bills every week, even if they're not open, and that's a bitch,
Yeah, I just hope we're all wrong, and I hope that nobody catches it anymore. I mean, I hope the virus is on the way out.
Hope so too.
Because you would think the more people it's affected, you would think the virus would become weaker and weaker, wouldn't you?
Well, you would think so, but we just heard Amy there in the south of France saying that she got to France and everybody's just the same as if it had never happened over there. So who knows, in 3 months that might be how it is here. And I know that in some other countries there have been rugby matches have taken place in front of 32,000 people. So it's starting to loosen up a little bit. And yes, we're hearing horror stories of there's a spike here and there's a spike there. Let's hope that's all it is and things can calm down.
Well, do you know, Bodie's going to be coming on tonight, Alan, because I'll be interested to find out what's happening on over the water, because obviously, down over across in the States and that, what I mean, the southern states all seem to be offended wearing masks and stuff, and there's a lot of the big places down there, I'm trying to think of some of the places, like Houston in Texas and
Texas,
stuff.
Florida,
they're really suffering, aren't they?
Absolutely. Hey, well, he's on the list, so fingers crossed we'll get him on tonight if the queue goes down enough. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. There is Brian. Now, last week we talked to Glenn from Barnard Castle, and he was saying about the how his pub was getting ready at Highforce, Middleton Teesdale. And Glenn's back from Barney. Hi, Glenn.
Alan, I've made him. I think I've stressed Chris out tonight. You know.
That's all right. That's what he's for.
I've been on hold, and I kept the signal up here up at Middleton Teesdale signal's rubbish.
Right. Well, I apologise for that. But bottom line is, last week you were telling us how your pub had prepared everything, and the food was ready, and the tables were ready. Did it work out the way you thought?
Alan, it worked out better than we could have ever planned.
Right.
It was absolutely great. Really good. I told you everything was spread out. We managed to get everything over 2 meters apart.
Right.
And as I said to you, they only needed it 1 meter for the restriction now. But no, we managed it well.
So, I mean, did nobody go too far? Because this was the first time they had an unlimited chance to get as much beer as they wanted to.
We'd have liked it. In an ideal world, it was my boss's birthday.
Right.
Frank, the mad French. I was telling you before.
Yeah.
And 4th of July is his birthday. So any other year, it would have been Mad Party Central.
Sure.
Brilliant night. The police came and checked. They said spot on what we'd done.
Good.
But I was saying to you about all the data protection we had to get and all of that.
So did everybody give you their real names? And how do you know they were giving you their real names?
I don't know. There's a lot of Mr. Smiths in the world, isn't there, Alan, as you know? And I think the numbers are all 012121. But all we can do is write down what they give us at the end of the day, Alan.
Sure. So the entire Smith family came out that night then, did they?
There's the Smiths, the Browns, the Greens, the Greys. No, it was champion, honestly, mate. I said I'd come on and let you know how it went.
No, it's just because a lot of people have said to me that they understand about the virus and they don't want to, they don't want to spread it and all the rest of it. But they also don't want to give people names and addresses and private information so that someone knows what they're doing from this time to that time, and
there's a lot
their
of
privacy.
Work back the scenes about all the data protection. Everything's secure. We've got to shred it after 21 days. I mean, we've got a lot of regulars, so we'll sign them in. We know who they are. But there's been no issues. Nobody's objected.
Right.
I had a brilliant time, and the weather forecast was terrible.
Yeah.
And I was there with my camera ready for the first customer at 11 o'clock. The door's opening.
Were they queuing? Were they queuing?
No, past 12, I'm phoning people saying, get yourself to the pub.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it'll be too busy. I said, there's nobody in.
Right.
Everybody has the same opinion. It's like when I go shopping on Christmas Eve, there's nobody in the shop.
Right. No, but the thing is, you've had 3.5, 4 months of the government terrifying people, and then they're saying, well, now you can go to the pubs, and everybody's going, oh, well, can you or can't you? And then they're saying, but make sure you keep your distance. I can understand people being reticent and they're waiting to see what happens.
So I always talk over you. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But there's no music to be played loud. So you lose a bit of atmosphere. I don't get why. Why can't you have a dance at the end of the day?
I'm presuming it's because they don't want people
spreading it through dancing.
No, and I don't understand it. The only thing I can think of about the playing music is if somebody sang along, maybe their spit would travel some distance, because they're saying that it's spit and hands that spread it, although they're not even sure about that, which is it's just quite unbelievable after the amount of time that we've suffered this damn thing.
No, well, I had my face mask on. I was keeping my distance up until a regular came in, and straight away I went up and I hugged her. And I said, I'm so sorry. She went, it's all right, I wanted you to. I said, but social distance. She said, Glenn, I've missed you. I needed a hug. I said, I know, but it's an automatic thing, isn't it, Alan?
No, I know.
We can't help but do it.
Yeah, it was weird because I shook somebody's hand for the first time in 4.5 months, and it kind of felt weird. It was like, I've touched somebody. Crazy, isn't it?
I know, and then did you get the anti-back spray starter?
No, I mean, he was up for it too, and we just shook hands, and then...
I've done a lot of the elbows today.
Oh, the elbows, right.
But, Alan, I'm sorry. Last week when I was on,
Yeah.
I know you'd already had her on the escort offered you something, and then I'd offered to bed you down for night and stuff. The amount of grief I've had over that.
That's all right. It was funny.
But I said, it came out my mouth, didn't
That's all right. It was nice of you, man.
We've had a
Thank you.
good time, Alan. We really have.
Good.
And my feet wouldn't agree with it, like.
Mm.
I got back home. First thing I did was pour a glass of Prosecco, because I'm a big Prosecco fan.
Right.
Second thing I did was fill a big bucket with hot soapy water.
Yeah.
And I put my trotters in because I was absolutely...
I bet you
I
were
was
ruined.
walking like John Wayne.
No, I bet you were ruined because, I mean, traditionally you're behind the bar, and yes, you're standing, but you're not covering the length of the pub every 2 minutes.
Oh, I was run ragged, but it was worth it. It was good fun. Everybody enjoyed it. It was good. It was safe. It was well organised.
Do you get more tips
On our
then
end,
if you're delivering the tables? Do you get more tips? How does it work?
Well, Alan, I'll tell you what. The first time I was on, I offered to buy everybody a drink. Last week I offered to bed you. This week I'm going to plug. People need to tip the waiters and the bar staff because they're run ragged and they deserve it.
Right, so that's
And,
them told. To make sure you've got
tell
some
them,
change.
remember and tip your staff. But no, it was a good night, mate. It really was a good night. And as I say, I'll give a shout out to Frank. He's the manager up at the Foresters. Crazy Frenchman. Like I said, it was his birthday yesterday. And any other year, it would have been a mad party. And I tell you, the Foresters is a bit of a mad place. But we'll party when it's over, eh?
Absolutely, hey, and you'll deserve one. But well done, Glenn. Thanks for keeping us up to date.
Alan, was it Jean on earlier about them beanies? I think it was Jean saying about the beanies at the Chippy.
No, it wasn't Jean, but yeah, we talked about we've had a.
They brought back some memories for me. Those mine.
Uh-huh.
And I googled it. I actually went on the Google about a month ago. I'm craving these beanies. It said they got banned by. I don't know if it might not be true. It's on the Google, but it said they got banned by the EU because the beans were causing too many blisters in people's mouths.
Really? Beans? That was bad. Well, I mean, they're still available.
They fried them, didn't they?
They're still available at the Chippy in Newburn and the Hut in Silksworth. Well, you know at least two places where you can still get them.
Well,
I know.
I'll have to get the Chippy up at Middleton to do them and all, eh?
Hey, no worries. Great to hear from you. Thanks for coming back.
You too. Speak to you soon, mate.
Take it easy, man. Bye-bye. And hey, go and check him out. A French chef that knows what he's doing, which is always a good thing. And Compson says you can still get decahedrons from Amazon. They're a tenner, apparently. And Chris says, just had another thought. This is Chris the Truck. He says that the thing that he's never experienced for a long while is a 10 pence mix-up. Yeah, because for 10 pence... you used to be able to go to, like, the counter, and it was always glass, and you had all your stuff that you could have a mix of. I'll take 2 of them and 3 of these, 2 of them, 9 of them, 14 of these. But you used to get a huge bag full for a 10p mix-up. If you asked for a 10p mix-up now, you'd be lucky to get half a jelly snake. Anyway, there you go. And Freddos have changed. Have you seen the size of Freddos? And the price? Ridiculous. Hey, the world's gone to hell in a handbasket, but we shall rise again. We've got the Blah coming up very, very soon, but it's time for a piece of music, and it's a good piece of music. But first of all, talking to one of the stars from this massive band. His name is Neil Schon, and he's in a band called Journey.
Okay, worst things that happened to my body. I was born with 3 hernias.
Whoa.
And, had one chopped out from one of my freaking, the way down there. It was not comfortable.
Wow.
It was like, and it had to happen twice because the first time it happened, I was 23. And at the time, they didn't really know that you were supposed to net it, and so it won't fall through that little sock again. And so it happened twice. I had to have that one done twice, and then I had 2 in my stomach, right in my belly button. And so the stomach is, I had nice ripped abs for years and years, and now they're like kind of getting back there. But since I stopped drinking about 3 years ago, but you know, really, when you're chopped in the middle of your stomach, that is like the center of all your strength in your body.
Right.
Like anybody will know that isn't a physic.
Big wall of muscle. Once you cut into that wall of muscle, then you're in.
It's tough to get back, man. It's like taking me a long time. Finally, things are finally healing, but this is years and years and years later.
You're still a god, Neil. You can ride. You can ride with this.
It's a good thing, one of my fingers didn't fall off, something like that.
I
would have learned to play with 3 of them or 2 of them.
That's Neil Shern from Journey. Now, over the weekend on Greatest Hits Radio, you heard the top 200. Born in the USA. That track was in there, but where did it come? We counted down the top 200 over the weekend as America celebrated Independence Day, and you can check out the final chart and listen again to anything that you missed, including Pat Sharp, Janice Long and Paul Gambaccini on our website, or you could download the free Greatest Hits Radio app. And do not forget, we got a great schedule for you tomorrow. Simon Ross, followed by Mark Goodyear, Andy Crane, Darren Proctor, Rick Horton, and then Alex Lester to see you into the early hours. So make sure you keep it locked on Greatest Hits Radio. We are Greatest Hits Radio North East. We played Neil Shern there, talking about his bad belly and his various hernias. But my goodness, when it came to writing and performing songs, he is pretty damn special. And for those of you who are still watching, another music song for everybody else, Don't Stop Believing, classic song. Don't forget, you can still listen to the rest of the show and the blah that's coming up. The guys are coming in. Go to have a chat about all kinds of things. We would love you to be there with us. If you retune or get your various gadgets to join the show. If not, and you're just going to wait until next week and do the same again, thank you very much for being with us. Don't forget, we've got a podcast out there, Alan Robson's Grizzly Tales. That's a weekly event that you can come and join. And if you're looking for any of the great classic shows, robsonsworld.com, they're all there, including the 2 Kielder shows. We had a few people mentioning coming on, having a chat off here, asking about Alien Jesus and all that kind of stuff. They're all there waiting for you. I think we're up to Alien Jesus 3 on there, and there's a few others that will be added to the site as time goes by. But hey, there's a lot of stuff there. We'd love you to support us if you can. Head in that direction, have a look. There's some ghosty pictures. There's a catalogue of everything that we've done on the show and some of the stars we've talked to over the years. Lots for you to have a gansy at. In the meantime, we're going to say good night, God bless you, and I wish you well. And we're going to get on with the show. We hope that you can retune and join us. But if not, thanks again. Really appreciate you being with us. All the best.